Hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of The Right Stuff, a Blood Bowl podcast brought to you by Empire Games. Coming out of sometimes lovely, always fumbling Anderson, South Carolina. I'm Yannie, here with Nathan, and a special guest who will be revealed later.
Oh, yeah. The mystery deepens.
Yes. Got to keep the listeners on their toes.
Right. I guess it's... The mystery will be as deep as the heartache, huh?
Yeah. Don't know if anything's that deep. But that's a conversation for slightly later. We have less games to talk about, so...
Yeah. We had a playoff scenario that we predicted that was like the most likely thing to occur. We essentially had two games as of the last recording to play to determine what the playoffs would be. Mm-hmm. And we felt like it's Blood Bowl. You never know what's going to happen. You can make predictions and then they'll often get thrown back in your face. But the most likely scenario is what happened.
Yeah.
I guess one of those games was one of your games.
Mm-hmm. So I had my last game of the season against Halen with the Nobility. This was one that I was not the most excited about, just because Nobility can be kind of a drag as far as just like playing. Just in terms of like, I feel like sometimes the team just explodes when you're playing it, and then sometimes it's impossible to kill anything.
Right. It's like Dwarves in that way, where it can be very stingy on the SPP that it gives up.
Yeah. So I was looking for, just the way my team like developed throughout the season, I was really hoping to get some SPP on some key players before the playoffs, and it didn't quite work out the way I wanted to. At least as far as like getting stuff. Like a game with like one casualty is not really where I wanted to be at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Especially when like another casualty or two was like possibly getting into the point of getting another chosen skill on a Jaguar, trying to get an extra skill on a thrower, just like didn't really work out. But part of that was just Maple being there, Maple always being an issue.
Yeah. It's a pretty good piece. I mean, it's probably one of the best star players they've added to the game.
Yeah.
Even without block, I think it's a very, I don't know. It's a very big footprint on the board as long as the once per half ability hasn't been used, mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, and like the start of the game, I think I was like up 2-0 at the half, and I had kicked that half, so it was like 2 defensive scores. And I was going into the second half, I was like I was playing in a way to try to like run the score because I needed to try to get some touchdowns on some key players, and put a blitzer in a spot where Halen had to like roll some dice and ended up getting the ball and scoring. And then at the end of the game, he had like one player in scoring position, and the ball was just like in the middle of a giant scrum, and it bounced out, and he ended up getting it. But he had like one player in scoring position, but he needed to blitz with the player that could catch the ball. So it was going to be like a 6-up pass into a 5-up catch, into then a blitz out. But he threw his blitz earlier in the turn to where it was going to be like a 4+ dodge into like 2 rushes with no rerolls. So, and also on the ball being good on throwers, like having an interception chance. But the ball was not caught. So
yeah.
Okay. So it was a 2-1. It was like fine. It was a like I said, like not the most SPP rich game, but had a skill that I could take on a thrower, on my second thrower, which I ended up taking before the playoff game. But yeah, so that kind of locked me in to 5th.
Right.
No, 6th? I don't know.
Yeah.
Wherever it locked me in.
Right. There was another game that happened, the Swamp People and Soul Peak Dooms game. Depending on the outcome of that game, a draw eliminated both players. A win meant Skoda would earn his way into the playoffs, bumping out Warren in the 8th seed. And Skoda managed to pull off a win there. And if you look at the box score, it looked like he did a lot of damage to Jack's team.
Yeah.
Jack, I think, made like a pretty strong statement at the beginning of the league, but it looked like he took a lot of damage over the course of the league. And that I feel like that game was just like one final reminder of like if your opponents just blast you off the board every game, then it's like hard to get anything going. So they made a game out of it, right? So
yeah, especially for a team that's supposed to be more resilient to that sort of damage. Taking 5 casualties
a game for like 6 games in a row or something like that,
and a bunch of those like resulted in injuries in this game too. So it's like stuff not regenerating, you're gonna have at that time. Yeah,
you wish you had an apothecary then, right? Or at the very least, you didn't pay for an apothecary. So
those 2 games locked us in.
Right.
As far as playoffs.
So. Yeah, and I think we've covered that scenario, but the full playoff breakdown then was the Darn Tootin versus Swamp People round 1, Skaven Blight Skitter Stars versus the Little Titans of Mayhem, the Gondolin Gloryhounds versus Slaughterhouse 11, Necromantic State Hellhounds versus the Tryhards. That is bracket A there in order of seed. Bracket B is Arbor Vitae and the Renegades of Funk. Rag and Bone versus What a Drag, Clobbering Catastrophe versus the Tidal Terrors, and Those Who Wander versus Oops, Mostly Nurglings. That is the second bracket there. And then the winner of each of those brackets will play each other for the finals.
Yep.
And we've had half of those games have been played.
Yeah. People are, I think, just given the amount of delays that happen in the season, I think a bunch of people are just ready to
I think you combine it also with like a new addition on the horizon too, right? It's one of those where for me that actually the new addition kind of factored in some of the decisions I made in the postseason as well, right? A new addition right around the corner very likely means any teams, we may have had lofty goals with teams this season, but depending on how the rules change, these teams may never be usable again, right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's a smoke 'em if you got 'em kind of territory with skills, randoms, whatever else you might have.
Yeah. There's like no holding back at this point. So
right.
We got playoff games to talk about. Let's start with Darn Tootin' and Swamp People. I mean, this was the one that I think. The expectation, just looking at the brackets, was that given the state of each team going in, that Jurgen was going to be like a favorite for the playoffs, just with his roster configuration.
Yeah, and if you look at the predictions that people submitted, Jurgen was by far the most popular pick to win what was left, right? I like the predictions for playoffs as like a fun kind of like thought experiment for a lot of players in the league. Like, is everybody on the same page when it comes to like what team is in the best position in the playoffs? Where what round do you think they drop out? And everybody, a lot of people picked Jurgen to win it all.
Yeah.
And I'm less convinced of that now.
Yeah, you have the fuller recap on this game, right? Because you've talked to Jurgen.
Yeah, I caught Jurgen very briefly. There was a brief adventure into the train tunnel yesterday, which I'll just leave mysterious for everybody watching.
Yeah.
But
not legal matter related.
Yeah, it's not legal matter related. Yeah, but on my return from that brief expedition, Jurgen had popped into the store and was leaving, and he gave me a quick rundown in the parking lot. And apparently on turn 1, he sends his 5 movement Mighty Blow lineman to go blitz the dirty player. I mean the sneaky git skink, and Quad Skull's out. So the dwarf just face plants right in front of the skink. The skink steps on him and fouls him right out of the game, which is a really funny reversal. I think that's the classic stunty juxtaposition of like, the block dice say I'm not favored in this matchup, but the foul dice say we're all created equal. So now Jurgen said that his dice in the game were actually pretty good, despite the fact that he quad skulled turn 1. And my my like experience tells me that if you flub a roll dramatically very early in the game, that was like a blood tribute paid to Nuffle, and it gets made up for as long as you can like shake that off and stay focused in the game. Yeah. And so, apparently Skoda had like a real hard time knocking any of Jurgen's players over, and so Jurgen was able to score, Jurgen took out at least a Saurus somewhere in that mix, and so Jurgen was really worried about the strength advantage on the Sauruses, and if Skoda had purchased another Saurus before the game, I actually think he might have been able to drag it to overtime, and maybe even pull out a win in the game. The thing with dwarves, and you know this from playing them, is like they don't actually really like it when they're outstrengthed, because your goal is to knock people around. Yeah. And if there's like way too many strength 4 armor 10 pieces, it's really easy for your team to get fragmented, and a team like Lizardman's got enough movement to make you kind of pay if a bunch of your team is tied up. And so Skoda got a touchdown later in the game, like later in the second half, which left Jurgen just like a little bit of time to score. And Jurgen, eagle-eyed viewers are going to be able to go look at his list and see that the 5 strength runner is missing the next game. That was the result of that runner making a go for it to hit the skink ball carrier, failing the go for it, snake eyes on the go for it, falling over, armor break, casualty, miss next game. And so that's like, I know I said Jurgen's dice were fine, but like one failed go for it and losing your 5 strength runner feels like, pretty apocalyptic scenario. Yeah. And so Jurgen was able to like score and win the game 2-1, but it does look like he's missing something like 200 of the 400 total SPP that his team has, which is, I don't know, that seems pretty dire, right? Because he's got to play the winner of either Juan or Coop's game. So yeah, I don't know what that game looks like.
Yeah, and like those are games too where there's possibly a world where, like if another team, if it was like any other team like in the league outside of Chase, they come in at full strength, Jurgen, and get some and do something to kind of make up for that, because Jurgen's roster is fairly lean, even with all the stat ups.
Right.
Like he was like coming in like pretty conservatively costed, but now like the best case scenario, I don't even know what the best case scenario for him is, but he's either just not giving Juan as much money, or Coop's not going to really give him much money to make up for that at all.
Yeah, I think
both of those rosters are lean.
Depending on what Coop's team looks like. So, I mean, we'll talk about the full the breakdown of that game, because it hasn't happened yet in a bit. But I think there's a good chance that Jurgen and Coop are like dead even on team value, and I would probably give the edge to Skaven. Yeah. If it's like dead, it's the exact same team value, and it's because of the mobility issue, right? So, yeah. Anyway, Jurgen wins, but his team looks incredibly mortal. Yeah. After that game, so.
All right, up next, another Bracket A game. We had the Necromantic State Hellhounds and the Tryhards. So this game was going on Friday while I was here, and I stopped by the table for a second, and in the middle of I think it was the first half, and John was saying that apparently Ness had like stabbed a zombie to death, and it had regenerated, and then he injured the flesh golem, and the flesh golem did not regenerate, leading to the flesh golem being out on turn 1.
Yeah,
which I think is not a place you want to be, looking down, staring down like a witch elf, the strength 4, and all these other things.
Yeah,
that Ness has.
It was the speed 3 flesh golem, which I think has got like limited use versus elves. I think you gotta like really work. But I do think obviously strength 4 pieces are very good against elves because that means you can just straight up bully elves usually. And so I mean you don't want a flesh golem just leaving. And I also think it's kind of just it's extremely lucky for Ness to even peel off a player turn 1 who's armor 10, thick skull, and regenerate, right? A lot of things got to go wrong for that player to just leave the pitch at the start there. But I mean, I think from what I heard from John, he was worried about a blowout because of that series of events. But he played just solid fundamental Blood Bowl, which is antithetical to the way Ness plays. Ness apparently just kept trying to cage dive and stab the 4-strength ghoul ball carrier. And the thing about elves is like if you've got one of those kind of like trick plays on the ball, it might you got to cash in those very limited during the game. If you do that every single turn, you're going to end up losing players way faster than if you just like disengaged, gave your opponent 1 blitz a turn. The cage dive strategy doesn't ultimately work if you try it every single turn. And so by the time they got to the overtime, I don't know if you got to see any of that, but the report that I got from Jennings was that in overtime, Ness had 2 players on the pitch by the time he scored on turn 24.
Yeah, that is what he told me as well. So I think that's the thing. Where I think John had also mentioned that there was like a blitz that Ness took where he felt like he had to take a certain blitz, like the Witch Elf, I think, going to somewhere to try to score. And that ended up not panning out. But like still like there was like he was trying to make plays for himself to get into the game and like had like a vision for it, and it just like wasn't.
Yeah, it didn't quite come together. Yeah, and I'm painfully familiar with this is the avenue to victory, double skull the first roll of that sequence, right?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it was like a blitz where he took I think he had like rolled a both down, which was with the Witch Elf, so he could wrestle, but he felt like he needed to push it to get it a square away from everything else. So then he rolled and then like didn't get the knockdown he needed there.
Yeah, that's the frenzy question, right? Sometimes you can be greedy with frenzy, like if you're trying to fish for the POW or whatever. But then, because I've had situations where it's like, oh, if I frenzy here, now it's suddenly 2 die uphill. Do I opt to take the both down and just stop the block right there? It certainly makes, I don't know. I do understand why some players hate frenzy, right? Because it forces you to make choices constantly. And Blood Bowl is already a game that punishes you for making choices. So something that makes you make multiple choices in the same decision space of the player, I'm sure it can just be decision overload. So.
Yep. So that is was an undead team advancing. Up next was my game, Ragged Bone, and what a drag. So it was 2-0 win for Sean. Going into the game, originally I think I was giving him 210 because he's had so many ghouls die over the course of the season. I think he might have also had to like replace like a white or something in there. He had like a bunch of attrition, so he didn't have as many skills, which put him in a position to where he could take Ivan, which I really didn't want to happen against a team that is kind of built around the idea of dodging. So originally I think I was giving him 210, and then he randomed a bunch of players into some really like obscene randoms. I think it was like dirty player on a sneaky get and another tackle.
The dirty player one is like a crazy hit.
Yeah.
I mean the sneaky, so a random general skill on a ghoul, there's a lot of good hits. Like like tackle on ghouls, because a lot of times ghouls are the only people who can get to some of the wily, cagey players that can like run into your backfield. So sometimes the ghoul has to go there. Mm-hmm. But obviously, if it already had sneaky get and you had dirty player, that's just an insane hit.
Yeah. So so that put him at 180. So he was off of Ivan. So I was like, okay, going into the game, I have 13. He's got 12. He might take like a wizard or something, and then like be okay with that. We sit down for the game. He swapped out a rookie ghoul for a zombie, which put him back into Ivan range. So I was like, okay, well, I'll fire a line woman to keep you off that. He fired a zombie, and then at that point, I'm like, okay, well, I think I'd rather. If he's working this hard for Ivan, I guess I'll just kind of buff up my team. So I hired back a line woman, and then hit wrestle on my second thrower, because I was planning on taking wrestle anyway, and I was like, this is going to be the moment that I gotta take it if I want to use it.
Yeah.
Since he had like blotch ghouls and stuff, I was like, I'll take a wrestler, and then I randomed the Jaguar and got sure hands,
okay.
which I was like, okay, if it gets to the point where I can actually get the ball on this Jaguar, like if something happens to this thrower, I have another thing that can like pick it up. So start the game with that. He ends up taking Ivan and like a keg and a mascot. Yeah, so it was Ivan, keg, mascot. And he gets the opening kick, and he breaks armor on the line. Totally. Casualties a line woman.
Like all three people on the line?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. All three are down. 2 are stunned. 1 is off the pitch. And he goes to send a blitz with Ivan to try to like do a foul on someone in the back. And I think like the game started out fairly decently how I wanted it to go. So in the first 4 turns, I had fouled all 3 tackle pieces into the knockout box.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, felt like I was in like an okay position. He was kind of going down the field with the ball. I went to try to make a hit on the ball, couldn't really get it to work, and then left myself in a position where he was able to like chain push with a mummy to open up an avenue for the ghoul to score. I wasn't really planning on stopping the score. Anyway, I was like, okay, this is fine. I have 4 turns to score. And on turn 7, I had the thrower with the ball, and I ran down the side. I had marked the mummy. I marked the white that could get to the ball, and I thought I had screened off the thrower to where the white wouldn't be able to get there. But I had that mispositioned. And he was able to dodge out, rush twice, he'd roll like double skull, re-rolled it into a knockdown on 1 die. The ball bounced out and then bounced into his end zone and then bounced to the other side of the field. To like a place where I couldn't get the ball, so it was 1.5, which is like two like fatal positioning errors. I think like, and outside of the knockouts, like my dice were like not super great, and that continued in the second half. Basically, it was like I only had knockouts, and he had like 3 casualties in the game, and along with knocking out a Jaguar both halves.
Oof.
And then also every time I threw a block on a blocker, it was skull both down. Every time he hit a blodger, it was a knockdown, without tackle, just straight knockdowns.
Yeah.
Dice really were not there, because I wasn't able to tie it up. I was trying to have to make some risky plays because I was also down players, and I was trying to get the ball into a spot. I was trying to like make a dash for the backfield, and the ball ended up next to a mummy, and he was able to knock down like a one die, knock down the thrower with Mummy. Ball bounces to the Mummy. Mummy catches it.
I don't know how you're supposed to get it from the Mummy at that point.
Yeah, I had I set up for like the miracle play, which was like a 5+ dodge uphill with the wrestle thrower on the goal line, and didn't get the dodge.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it was a very frustrating game, very disappointing. I think like I had like some really fatal misplays in the first half, and it's like, and the dice like were not there. I think like the way I was rolling, it probably wouldn't have mattered. He probably would have just won anyway.
Yeah.
But like I think, it was just like very frustrating. I think that team, obviously in the bracket I picked myself, but I don't think that's hubris. I think that like that team, like I think that team had the like gas to make it to the finals and like pick a run. And kind of disappointed that it's not going to get there. So.
Yeah, that's fair. I think a bunch of people picked you over Sean just because of the skill differential, right? Amazon's with like a whole bunch of skills versus like an undead team who was feeding ghouls to a wood chipper the whole season. Yeah, for sure. Did you have money to overdog?
I did. I don't know what I would have taken.
Dribble and Drool are just sick. Right? Like I loved them versus undead. Depends on how many. The thing about undead is like they have some pretty good star players, but they like there's not like, even if they take like Wilhelm and Ivan, they can only blitz with one of them a turn. Yeah. Wilhelm's probably not even really good against Amazons. He's got wrestle, sure, but he doesn't have like tackle or anything like that.
Yeah, I think like I wanted to save Treasury because there's like other teams I think I would have wanted Dribble and Drool against more. Yeah, like if I had to play like Will's team or something like that, right. I think like that's one where I would have absolutely like 100% taken Dribble and Drool. Yeah. And gotten to that, but like I didn't want like even the extra players would have been fine. Obviously now like it seems like would have been the right choice.
Yeah, you lose a game of Blood Bowl, you play What If 1,000 times, right? Yeah. It's just it just doesn't work out sometimes.
Yep. So the revenge tour has ended.
Cut short
before it even really got to start.
Yeah.
So. We got one more game. It was Clobbering Catastrophe and Tidal Terrors.
For my money, I think this was probably the best game of the lot that we had.
Yeah, both players were extremely frustrated by the end.
Yeah, so. That's from a observational point, that's a great game of Blood Bowl.
Yeah. A player walking away from the table saying how much they hate the game immediately after scoring is the hallmark of excellent game design.
Yeah, right. So I didn't actually look to see who was predicted to win this game the most from the predictions in the league.
Yeah, it seemed fairly even. I know I picked Clay, but
yeah, I thought it could go either way. I picked Clay just because I thought he had like a slight strength advantage, and orcs, like we mentioned with doors, don't really like it when the opponent can outbash you, right? And then on top of that, skinks are just so good at scoring. There's a lot of like orc defense is setting up kind of like a immovable object, but half the time skinks are like 2-3+ dodges away from scoring, depending on what how the board is set up.
Yeah, I think Clay also is like has the fouling game kind of figured out. So like that's the thing where it's like, oh, you might think like, oh, I can just send a blitzer in and just like eat a skink a turn. But it's like, no, you send that blitzer in, is probably never getting back out.
You can't just right. You can. So I think a lot of the players in the league now have kind of underestimated like the mortality of players, right? It's so if you strand a player against somebody who's not afraid to foul, they will knock over that piece and they will foul it. And if you're a +4 or 5 foul, there's a real good chance that armor gets broken, and at that point you're like 40% to get taken off the board. So and I think the Fowler on his team had dirty player, right? So if you put your player in the wrong position and you get fouled out of the game, then you don't have to foul that many players out when teams only have like 2 or 3 tacklers on them, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly your skinks get much, much harder to kill.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is definitely a thing. It's like the game of attrition. You could say like the Orcs took 6 injuries.
Yeah.
I think the Lizardmen took 2 over the game.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't count if things got sent off, but like still, like losing over half your players.
Right.
Like,
I mean, Henderson was also keeping his team pretty lean, right? Like
yeah.
he was playing for the inducement game as well, right? Like either not give up that many inducements or be able to take them.
Yeah.
And a team like Orcs, I mean, like them having Bomber already feels unfair sometimes.
Yeah.
But Bomber got fouled out pretty fast.
Yeah, I think there was like a turn 1, like
it's like 3, but
yeah, like very early exchange to get that, and that also puts you in a spot where looking at the inducement game, David took bribes.
Yeah.
It's like those bribes get way worse if you're not using them on Bomber.
Yeah, I actually wonder if he should have been throwing some other fouls then, right?
He did and rolled 1 on both bribes. So, according to the will recap.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Like when your game plan is to like, I think like his game plan was like have the game last for 3 drives. Have Bomber in for all of them. He's just like, have him in, bribe it, and then Bomber getting taken out. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'll throw these other fouls and then just not live up to it. So
yeah, well, I don't know. I'll like the best laid plans, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Henderson scored a defensive touchdown in the second half to go up 2-1. And I thought maybe he might be able to clinch it there because a bunch of skinks had been hurt at that point.
Yeah.
But Clay managed to sneak a score in there at the very end to go up 2-2. And then they go to the overtime, and apparently Clay has just a slight edge there. Henderson's forced into this really desperate play where it's like a 4-up dodge and then like a 3-up dodge to try to make a handoff to have that person run, and then that guy was gonna be in a position where he could be hit on the following turn anyway, and then just like fails the first dodge, coughs up the ball. The last remaining skink at this point scoops it up, runs the other direction. The Orcs can't catch it. And then the clock runs out, and the Lizardmen take it home.
Yep. Yeah, that's like, I think like that's the thing too. When you look at like other teams that Clay have been playing, like Undead, it's like this team's so much faster. So and his positioning with Undead was like pretty solid. So it's like if you're able to have that positioning figured out with like a slower team, you get the skinks and like the training wheels are off. You were just to the races.
You're right. There's a world of difference between playing against a new player with Lizardmen because it feels like they're constantly mispositioning their skinks, and playing like somebody who's got reps with Lizardmen, knows how to shield the skinks, knows that like the skinks are really powerful together, right? And you can make plays for the ball with just like 3 skinks, if you can tie up enough of the rest of the team with either the Croxagores or the Saurus. I mean, you can make some stuff happen with Lizardmen. Once you've got some reps and once Skink starts getting some skills on them, they become really disgusting players.
That's our game recast for the week. We had 1 death, which was Chicks. It's a skink for the swamp people.
I think he was hired onto the team for the game, died immediatly.
It died like at the end.
Well, it died at the end of the game, but died in the first game. Yeah. So
I mean, I think it's like 1 skink, half of your team's skills in players. That's a decent trade, I think.
Yeah.
I think Chicks' legacy will live on.
Yeah.
Depending on how round 2 goes.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I guess it's time for the quick break.
Yep.
Is that right? And then the mystery guest star will step in?
Yes.
We're back. we've got the special guest star. Special guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, this is Wayne. I'm here subbing for Yannie, who was too heartbroken to continue.
Yeah, we figured we could talk, just us people remaining in the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, get the riffraff out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
No, I mean, all due respect to Yannie, he's had a great season. His team was set up great. He just had a tough game last night.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you've got your choice of who you play in the first round of playoffs, you don't pick Sean McCallum.
No, he's probably the last choice. Who I don't want to play in the first round. It's a really tough draw. It's kind of a shame. But we really appreciate Yannie and everything he's done with this podcast and for the league and his enthusiasm. So, we know he'll be back next season ready to go.
Oh, for sure. Yep. You gotta. I mean, the thing about like playoff losses is you have to wait for the next season to start to really like shake it off, right? And so yeah, I mean, it's tough to get your head like. In league play, it's like, okay, I had a bad week. I complain about it for a week, and then my next game is up. I mean, either complaining about that game or stunting on people in the Discord. But either way, you've moved on. But like playoff loss, you have nothing but the next season to look forward to. So
yeah, it's like the opposite of a tournament. The thing I like about Tournament Blood Bowl is it doesn't have the pain of a league where you lose a game and you got to wait a week. Tournaments, you just play a game, you play another game immediately. So if it goes badly, you have a chance to redeem yourself. But with the playoffs, you got to wait. It might be a month or more before he gets to start his next team.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we've got we're going to take a kind of a deep dive into the remaining playoff games here. Unlike the season, we don't have so many games to cover. And so we can kind of talk about some of, because this is where the games get really interesting, right? Like a lot of choices that you made earlier in the season start to kind of accumulate, and you make the wrong choice here, and that's it. Like you're just done.
That's right. And just like Yannie talking about, he could have overdogged something and he didn't, and now he has regrets. Like that's everybody's situation. Whatever happens in the game, if they lose, they're going to question every decision they made leading up to that.
Yep. So we'll talk about the Skaven Blight Scooter Stars and the Little Titans of Mayhem game, and that's the Skaven Snotling match. And this is actually a rematch of the playoffs last season. I think that was a first round game. Coop and Juan played, and they played like a really close game. Now I think like the final score was a little different because I think it was like either 1-0 or something like that. But Coop was running that Dark Elf no reroll stuff, and that's inspired him to play the Skaven team this time around. And Coop went to throw a 2-die block on the Skaven who had the ball at the time and rolled double skulls, and he doesn't have rerolls, so. And that was kind of the end of the season there. But this time around, Coop's team, he's light on gutter runners.
Yeah.
But he did actually opt for at least one reroll.
Right. Just for the record, playoffs last season, Juan and Coop played in round 2. It was a 1-0 win for Juan.
Yeah.
It was a nail-biter, and it looked like Coop might take that game until the very end. So, Coop's looking for redemption there. As far as I'm concerned, the best outcome would be for a meteor to strike this game and destroy both teams entirely. But I think that might be a bit much to hope for. My game with Coop this season was really rough. He fouled the bejesus out of me, put a movement down on my War Dancer. Not thrilled about that. So, he's playing a really fouling-heavy game. He's only got 2 gutter runners, and they're both set up with Sneaky Get Dirty Player.
Yeah.
Which is not the way most people build gutter runners. It's an interesting choice, but it's worked really well for him this season.
His game plan is to throw a foul every turn, right?
His game plan against me was to throw 2 every turn. And that may not happen against Juan. I don't know what the inducement strategy here will look like. Coop's got the money to overdog stuff. I don't know if he'll do that.
I think you're incentivized to do it against Snotlings, right? Because
right.
either you get stuff that they now have to play around, or you counterspell the stuff you don't want to play against, right?
Yeah. So if I were predicting this, I would probably predict Coop would overdog both the Black Gobbo and Bomber.
Yeah.
And that would negate either one of those from Juan. If Juan chose to take them, he wouldn't get them.
Yeah, I would be tempted to take like a Skitter maybe also, just on the off chance. Let's say, okay, you take Bomber, you take Skitter. You got 200K. And then the thing is the underdog there they know they're getting 200 extra K. They don't know what you've taken, right? You could craft your inducements in such a way where you make them think you've taken something that you haven't,
right?
To try to make them outguess.
I mean, you could always throw a coach in there for
Something,
20,
yeah.
something like that, just
Right.
to throw the math off.
A weather mage, something that throws the math off that makes them imply, oh, I'm getting a hack flim or something like that, right?
So I guess the advantage of taking Skitter would be that then it would cancel Juan's Skitter.
Yeah, because I think Juan is kind of priced into taking a gutter runner, because he's got the stilty runners. He's invested in stilty runners that like Chase had not for Snotlings. I think he even got an agility up on a stilty runner. The big thing about the runners is that they are very fragile players, right? I don't even know that you would want to put them on the pitch.
Well, they're not ruggedly durable like gutter runners.
Yeah.
I don't know. Looking at Juan's team, I think he's probably fine. He's got a movement 8 and a movement 7 stilty runner. The movement 7 is agility 2+. Movement 8's 3+. They're both totally competent carrying the ball. And I know Coop does not prioritize ball handling. He's in it to foul.
Yeah.
So I would probably still expect him to take foul-centric inducements. And then, I don't know, maybe he changes that against Snotlings because they have so many players.
Yeah, I mean, the Bombers are good against Snotlings, right? Because you can end up knocking 3 or 4 of them over at a time. And while Snotlings are pretty good at swarming the ball and making like some really annoying scrums just because of the way sidestep works on Snotlings, they're not great at like scalpel get to a specific player, right? Like if they can't blitz it with the Morg or whoever they decide to take into the game, if they can't blitz the first person in front of them, it's not like elves where they've got a way to like leap or make like plays at people that are hidden behind like a wave of other players. They kind of have to throw a bomb if they want to do that, right? Now, I mean, Juan's got rostered Flingas. But like one of those Flingas is hurt. Like I actually think he might be incentivized to get rid of that agility down Flinga. But maybe you keep him because the agility doesn't matter on him. I don't know. It's tough to say.
Yeah. It's probably worth mentioning that Juan's not going to have the money he's used to having. Coop has kept his team so lean. Juan's got 535 as things stand right now.
Yeah.
Which Juan has been able to take Morg and Giant most games. That's not going to happen.
Right.
It's probably one or the other, and then some other stuff. Obviously, if Coop overdogs, that gives him more to work with, but then he's got to think about what Coop's taken and what's going to be canceled.
Coop have enough for Morg?
Coop has 320.
Okay, so not enough to counterspell Morg, right?
Nope.
But that is enough for, like, Black Gobbo Bomber.
Right, which, that's a lot of bombs.
Yeah. And the stab on the Black Gobbo is useful, too.
Yeah.
Because you could stab a stilty runner. And, like, stab is actually... not to like nest post a whole lot here, but stab is actually really good against Snotlings. When I played in Wii Warriors last year, I played stunty skinks and had dribble and drool, and you're 6+ to knock somebody over, right?
Yeah.
And so like the knife on the Black Gobbo is actually extremely useful.
Yeah, and let's not forget that he can throw that extra foul every single turn.
Yeah, and he's got Disturbing Presence, which is actually very useful.
That was relevant against me. All those things were relevant. I really found out what a versatile piece he is. Like
Yeah.
He's pretty good for the money.
He's also armor 9, which means he's not. He doesn't get peeled off the pitch the way that you would expect a goblin to. So.
Right. Yeah. I think he's a very good choice. Wouldn't be surprised to see him in this game.
Right. One way or the other. Right. One of the players is going to have him.
Yeah.
Or neither.
Right. Yeah. He's so annoying. He's got sidestep too. So you hit him and he's going where you don't want him to go.
Yeah. Exactly. Which works really well with Disturbing Presence because Disturbing Presence works from the ground.
Right.
So even if you knock him over and you don't take him off the pitch, he might be in a place that your bombs.
He might suddenly be in range when he wasn't before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I almost am hesitant to pick a winner in this game because I feel like picking a winner influences the outcome of the game in the opposite direction. Does that make sense?
Is that superstition, or do you base that on something in the real world?
I'm basing it off of quantum mechanics, I think.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I could see. So I think there's a scenario that could happen where Coop scores twice in the first half, gets tabled, but Juan is only able to score one time in the second half, right? If he's got enough people to do enough stalling with, but it gets tabled, and then has to set up like 3 people on defense or whatever, or 3 people for his like next drive, he's still able to stall out the game for like 2 turns, just because Snotlings struggle to... Snotlings spend like most of the game duking it out at midfield because their players are so slow. So I could see a scenario like that happening where Coop's team is like annihilated, but he scored twice really early, or maybe even like a third time. Like a defensive score with Skaven. Like if you roll a blitz, a perfect defense, something like that, and suddenly a gutter runner's deep in the backfield. Where the ball is hanging out. That's another scenario where Snotlings struggle, is if the ball gets kicked deep. Yeah, they can they can swarm a couple players back there to go after it. But if it's just like 3 or 4 Snotlings versus 2 gutter runners, then those gutter runners probably actually have the advantage.
Yeah, that's worth mentioning. If he's relying on strength 1 stilty runners to move the ball, those gutter runners and you also got to remember that these titchy Snotlings don't give a modifier to dodges. So the gutter runners can just dodge in on a 2+. I guess the ball carrier is not titchy, right?
Right.
So that'd be a 3+.
It'd still be like a 3+. You could have
3+ with dodge.
Yeah. You could run 1 gutter runner in there to cut off the 2 assists. Then the 3rd gutter runner comes in on a 2-die hit with block and...
Yeah, so you're talking about like vampire or wood elf levels of cage diving here.
Yeah.
So it's a hard game to predict. I think it's hard for me to ever pick against Juan in the playoffs because he always pulls something out of somewhere. I don't know. I guess if I was forced to choose, I'd probably go Juan. I think the main thing here for me is Coop has played a very foul-centric. He's been centered on removal the whole season, and that just may not work as well against the number of players Snotlings have.
Yeah, the players that you want to foul out against Snotlings are the players that are harder to knock down.
Right.
And Snotlings are actually very good against fouling because you can just have a cloud of Snotlings around your key pieces.
Right.
And like as good as those gutter runners might be at fouling a Snotling is not a good rate of return.
No.
Over the course of the whole game.
Even with a sneaky get, it's really not where you want to be.
Yeah. Now the winner of that game gets to play against Jurgen missing the 5 strength player.
Yeah, and Jurgen is now, he looks vulnerable in a way I didn't think he would. He seemed almost like a lock for the finals. He seemed invincible. Now, he's not just missing the 5 strength guy, he's missing 2 other skilled players. So, that game, whichever one of them gets there, I mean, that game really could go either way.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had a win over Juan when his team was at full power. I'm not convinced that... Because, like, the 5 strength dude that he would have had for that game, I really don't think Snotlings want an 8-speed 5-strength piece. It's like it's so hard for them to get to that piece to threaten.
Yeah.
Because really, the way the Snotling game plan works is it's knock down a premium target, and if you didn't remove it with the Mighty Blow that you used for the blitz, then throw a foul on top of it. And if you've got like a 5-strength piece, especially one that's 8-speed, it's harder to knock down in the first place, and it can just not be anywhere near the pieces that can blitz it. And then the rest of the dwarf team is very good at absorbing damage. But now, if your only ability is to absorb damage, then the Snotling game plan looks a lot worse.
Yeah. Right. Now, Jurgen's team is not powerless. Like the other runner is movement 8, blodger with sure hands. So that's a pretty good ball carrier.
Yeah, for sure.
And his team will be very lean on team value now. So Juan won't get a truckload of inducements if he wins. And if Coop wins, it's probably pretty even.
Yeah. It may not even, like, it could be a scenario where, like, Coop has to buy a lineman to get to the point where he could overdog Bomber if he wanted it, right?
Right. And if he did that, that gives Jurgen the ability to overdog Cindy. Mm-hmm. So it could be Bomber v. Bomber there.
Right.
That'll be interesting. I'd like to see who wins this game, and then that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so what's next?
We've got Those Who Wander and Oops, Mostly Nurglings. So this one is a wild one. I think this is another one that's hard to predict.
So is every game going to have Snotlings in it?
Hopefully no more games will have Snotlings in it. But that's just my anti-stunty bias that's well documented on this podcast. So
fair enough. I also hate stunties and would never play them.
For 6 seasons in a row.
Right. Yeah, so Chase's team looks a little different than Juan's. Chase has not developed the stilty runners. He's got Hefe, who's the fouling specialist.
Right.
And then he's got a Flingo with a couple of skills. And his trolls. Beyond that, it's inducements all the way.
Yeah. He has taken Giants. He's taken Morgs. He's taken Black Gobbo. He hasn't even really taken Bama. He's mostly taken Morg or a Giant. He really prioritizes the Mighty Blow +2 for his blitzes. And like I get it. It's make short work of a team when you are rolling like average.
Right.
You'll pulverize teams into dust.
And he's got almost 1.2 million to work with here. So I think we can expect Morg plus Giant plus something else.
Probably a Hack Flim or a Skitter. It would be my guess. When he gets to the playoffs, during regular season, he's in inflict damage mode. And in playoffs, he's almost always taken a gutter runner of some kind.
Yeah.
Now, can Will counterspell any of the gutter runners if he wanted to?
I believe that Chaos can take, Skitter's on there, and Hack Flim also, so he could overdog either one of those.
Yeah, and that would be my temptation. I think really the Snotling team is the team you really want to overdog against because they're already coming into the game with whatever they want.
Yeah, so they will already be at the point of diminishing returns. If you've got Morg, Giant, and your choice of another star, what can you do with the rest of the money?
Right.
I guess we should probably talk about Will's team. I think Will's strategy here is to confuse everyone with so many dice on the team list. He's got more random skills than you could possibly keep track of. What do you make of this team?
Yeah, I mean, it's... So, I've been kind of consistent on Will's team that I think he's got a lot of good skills. I think he's got a lot of good ball handling skills for a Chaos team. I think he has some inconvenient defensive skills for people, but I think his team is very short on the stuff that you need to turn people's teams into jelly, right? He's got a couple of Chaos Chosen who can hit, but as far as the Beastmen on the team, they're a random hodgepodge of skills. He's got like a ball handling one. He's got a really good like wrestle tackle one, right? That's got like prehensile tail.
Yeah, and also two heads.
Yes. So like that piece is particularly powerful. That guy could make like a cage dive, right? Against Snotlings, since you don't have to worry about the
right. So
zones.
he's essentially like a gutter runner because of two heads. He can dodge in just like a gutter runner.
Yeah.
And then once he gets there, he has tackle, wrestle, prehensile tail.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I think the big thing for Will is how much damage can he absorb during the course of the game. Right now he's got 13 players on the roster. He's got a bunch of money. He could expand his roster. I am generally of the opinion if you're going to play against Snotlings, especially in playoffs, you need to go into the game with 15, if not 16 people.
So if he overdogs a star, that picks up a player there. So yeah, he could add a Beastman or two in addition to that.
Right. And I mean the thing about Beastmen is for 60K, it's hard to argue with that player. The horns makes it so that they're very good at blitzing, and you take the human lineman stats on top of that, and it's just a fine player.
Yeah,
there's nothing really to complain about there.
No, they're very solid. The thing that jumps out at me here also is all the teams we've talked about so far have dedicated fouling pieces, and Will doesn't. Like, fouling's not part of his game.
Yeah, and I think if we went back and we looked at the actual league, Will had 30 casualties that he dished out through the course of the league, which is much shorter than Jurgen's, a little bit lighter than Sean's Undead team. Juan's Snotling team had 37 casualties. Now that's, of course, probably got the thumbs on the scale thanks to Morg. Clay dished out like 35 casualties. The Renegade Sean had 42 casualties. So the people in his division did more damage than Will. Now, Will only took 15 casualties, which is much less than many of the other teams in his division. So, he's playing kind of like a controlling board presence. I think that slow style, I don't know if that holds up in the face of Snotlings. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, so his team is heavily armored, right? So Chaos is all 9 and 10. So they're good at taking a punch, but that armor doesn't really mean anything against a foul.
Yeah.
Because you just stack assists and you break the armor anyway.
He doesn't have any random Ironheart skin, right? Like nothing that makes any of the players that much more durable.
So, yeah. I mean, breaking this game down, I think if Chase gets a bunch of removals early, then Will might be in trouble. But if Will's armor holds and he doesn't take any damage, his team is pretty solid.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you have a prediction?
Yeah, I predicted Chase to win the game. That was what I put into my challenge bracket.
Okay.
So I put Chase there, and actually had Chase making a pretty deep run on that side of the playoffs. Just because when it comes to playoffs, Chase stops messing around.
Right. Yeah. He's definitely been there before, right?
Yeah.
He's made it really deep into the playoffs many times. I think that's a solid pick. If I'm going to predict, I guess I'll take Will to be on the other side of it. But to me, this one could go either way.
Yeah, I think this one is kind of a coin toss. I think it kind of boils down to what happens in the first half of the game.
Right.
I think it's easy for teams that don't have high flying offenses. I think it's easy for them to lose the game in the first half versus Snotlings.
Yeah.
Just because they may not get the damage against the Snotlings. If you can take out one of the star players, a troll, you could take out some of that strength and you force the opponent just to try to win the game with Snotlings, then it's a different story. But if the Snotlings are at full strength and you've lost 3 or 4 key players, then the second half gets real ugly. And I don't think there's a world where Will wants this game to go to overtime.
No, because Chase will just have so many more players than him.
Yeah.
Numbers will eventually catch up with him. And Will really needs to hope they don't roll sweltering heat.
Yeah.
That would be a disaster.
Yeah.
All right, so what's next?
We've got your game, in fact. The Arbor Vitae versus the Renegades of Funk.
Okay. Well, so going into the playoffs, if you tell me I'm Wood Elves and I have to play against Chaos Renegades, okay, I'd rather be the Wood Elf player.
Yeah.
But I'm playing Sean. That's not really the draw I want in the first round of the playoffs. Sean is an excellent player. He's top level, as demonstrated by his victories in New Orleans and at Dollywood, where he went 6-0, right? So I take this game. I'm not taking it lightly. Like this.
Yeah, you can have an opponent. That like makes up for the fact that you feel like you have an advantage on paper, if that makes sense.
Right. So it was bad luck for Yannie that he drew a Sean in the first round, and probably bad luck for me that I also drew a Sean. And if I win this game, I get to play the other Sean.
Right. Yeah.
So I get to run the Shauntlet. So for this game, in my last game of the regular season, my War Dancer took a movement down, right? And this is the War Dancer with strip ball, sidestep, wrestle. So I agonized over this. I was actually considering firing that War Dancer, starting with a new one, just so I'd have the movement 8 and then try to get 6 points and put a skill on there. But the War Dancer had enough for a random, so I randomed it and I got jump up, which...
It's probably, in my opinion, I mean, we talked about it off podcast, right? But that's probably one of the best hits you could get.
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking, all right, well, I'll roll an agility here, and if I hit sure feet or sprint, that kind of makes up for the movement down a little bit. And we talked about jump up, and then when I hit it and I started thinking about it, that actually adds an element that the player didn't have before. I get the jump up blocks.
Yeah, and you've got wrestle, so it combos. It's so smooth comboing those two together.
I still think the movement down is going to hurt. It's going to feel bad in the game, but I think jump up will help with that. So I'm excited about that. As far as changes to my team, the only thing I might add another lineman just in case I take a bunch of damage. I think that's usually what undoes you as an elf player is if you just start to run out.
Yeah. Right. You've got a lot of times elf teams are going to be 3 or 4 absolutely stacked monster players and then the supporting cast. And I think a lot of experienced Blood Bowl players are going to target the players that are easy to kill, the skillless armor 8 people in this instance. Those are much easier victims than any of the War Dancers on the team, any of the block dodgers. Now, if you get a shot at those players, you take them. But all things being equal, you target somebody that's easier to put on the ground, especially since he's got so much Mighty Blow to work with here, right?
Yeah, right. I'm not thrilled about that. To that point, I tried to build my team wider rather than just going super tall with a few players. So I've got wrestle on 4 linemen. I really like wrestle on those guys because that gives me an out. If I need to blitz the ball and my War Dancers are out of position or they're on the ground or whatever, those wrestle guys are an excellent backup. I can get in there and have, at least 2 results on a die that will take down a blodger.
Right.
Rather than just one.
Yeah, and when you factor in a reroll, that makes it makes it pretty likely that you can knock somebody over. It's in your favor.
Right. And the other thing, I have to give a shout out to my tree who finally got his movement up after the last game of the season. So I'll have a movement 3 tree for this game. Hopefully that helps. Now, Sean's team, I suppose we should talk about it too, right? He's got the 3 big guys, all blocking pro now. Claws on the Rat Ogre, guard on the Troll. Claws on the Rat Ogre, that's not good news for the tree.
Yeah. But I think if the rat ogre's fighting the tree, you're probably happy. I actually think the rat ogre is bad news. Now, you don't want something that can just knock the tree over. I think the rat ogre's best use against you is probably trying to tie up as many elves as it can, right? Because the prehensile tail is very deadly.
Yeah. So again, my last game was against Coop, and I had to play against his strength 6 rat ogre with tackle, which was a nightmare for elves. This one has prehensile tail, but not tackle, and it's only strength 5. I don't know that point of strength makes much difference against my strength 3 elves. I'll probably still be dodging away, and it'll be a 3+ instead of a 2+. But I think my job is to keep that rat ogre contained. Even though it has claws, I think if I could get the tree on it, I probably would.
Yeah.
Just to keep the elves free. The rest of his team, the Chaos Renegades, the Dark Elf is always the star, right? Because these usually are 2+. His has block dodge and a movement up. So that's a solid player. I've got players designed to strip the ball from somebody like that, but who's to say if I'll get a shot? And if I do, I've got to be really careful not to just leave them there to then be destroyed by all these big guys.
Right.
And he's got a dirty player to come in and finish up the job if
Right.
the big guys don't do it.
Yeah, right. The jump up war dancer on the ground is probably getting stepped on at any point.
He's not going to leave it there to jump up and do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his team is solid. Luckily, Chaos Renegades are pretty expensive, so we're almost even on inducements. As of right now, I'm giving him $25K, which is a coach.
Right.
If I buy another another lineman, I'm giving him $95K, which is still not enough to really do anything.
Yeah. Right. Renegades can't take bomber. Acorn, cheap star doesn't really matter versus elves. Maybe a chainsaw, but I don't love chainsaw into wood elves because it's so easy for wood elves to get to the chainsaw and knock them over. And I don't love unless you're like overdogging like Borak or somebody like that. I can't really see Chaos star players making a difference in the game.
Yeah, and before Sean had an interesting route to the playoffs too. You guys probably covered this in previous week, but he had to play his way in.
Yeah.
He pulled a draw against James Tide and made it into the playoffs. And before that game, he didn't, like we had talked about inducement strategies, and he was missing his Dark Elf for that game. And so I told him, you should probably take Skitter. He was like, well, I don't have enough money. And I suggested overdogging, like raise your team value to the point where you can overdog and then take Skitter. I don't know if that's something he'll try to do against me. I'm probably not gonna blow my treasury now.
Yeah, not with like a snotling player on the other side of the bracket that you might want.
Right. I mean, I'll probably buy the lineman, but after that, that's about it. And then Sean can do what he wants.
To me, it's always worth it to avoid the mayor incident where you lose half your treasury. That happened to me in the last playoffs, where
I remember
I lost a bunch of money, and so I didn't have stuff to do anything with. It's always worth it, I think, to keep your team, your treasury at that point where you can't lose all of it.
Yeah, but that's calculated choice, right? If I thought overdogging something would make the difference in this game or guarantee that I advance, I would do it. I just don't think there's really anything that makes such a difference.
Yeah, I mean, like if you would be happy to just lock in your teams and go, right? Like
sure.
Like if that was an option for you, that's what you would do. I think I kind of agree with you. I think having an extra player or two just in the pocket certainly helps.
Because he's on 15 and I'm on 13 right now.
Yeah, right.
So I'll probably go up to 14. And then, I'll be ready to go. So who knows? I like my chances because Wood Elves against Renegades, but he could easily win this game.
Yeah, not to get like too under the hood of your strategy, but like you like to kick with elves generally at the start of the game. But there's a scenario where you kick to him, he peels your line, and runs out the whole first half and does takes out one of the ward answers or something like that, and that game probably feels less sure if that occurs, if that exact sequence happens.
Well, it doesn't feel sure to me at all right now. So we'll see what happens. If he pulls off the upset, that would be great for him, and I'll cheer him on the rest of the way. So I suppose we should move on to the last game, which I think is the game of the week, the game of the round, the first round of the playoffs, which is you versus Jim.
Right, yeah.
You don't normally get a matchup like that in the first round.
Yeah, that was so, I mean, I think if you look at the spread of wins and losses in this league, it was a very narrow band. And so the difference between first and eighth in each division was pretty large, but the difference between second and sixth was not that large in each division.
Right.
And so I just ended up paired against Jim there, despite us having a very similar record. I mean, I'm looking at if you're playing against Jim in the playoffs, you just have to, you can't hold anything back, right?
No.
You gotta bring your A game, because it's win that game or go home. I mean, I think if you spent your whole season preparing to play Jim in the playoffs, your time would not be wasted, right?
Right.
Because I think a lot of people's paths to victory have gone through Jim in the past.
Right, and Jim's name is on the black twice.
Yeah, right. So I played against type here and actually took some random mutations because I felt like there's a really good chance that this is the last game with this team. And so I was pretty happy with what I got. I'm certainly not going to complain. I got 2 foul appearances, one on a Bloodseeker and one on a Korngor. And both of those players were guard pieces already. So that makes them.
So you got to hit those first, but you got to roll a 2+ to do it.
Yeah,
that's pretty annoying.
Yeah, and I mean my general strategy versus elves is make them roll a bunch of dice.
Yeah,
and sooner or later the elves will bungle something. Hopefully, I also hit 2 heads on a wrestle tackle marauder. I was pretty happy with that because. The Wrestle Tackle Marauder, I mean, honestly, in the last couple playoffs that I've done, the Wrestle Tackle Marauders have just been crazy good players.
Yeah.
And I saved this dude from death in that last game, and it cost me the blood spawn for the rest of the game. But 2 heads on him means that he can make some riskier plays, especially if I've got a reroll in a pocket. He can break away and go tackle people, cut through a screen. There's a lot of stuff that he can do now that is way more sure.
Right. So wrestle tackle is the setup you want on somebody that you're going to send after a blodger, like the blodger with the ball, and you want to knock it loose.
Yeah.
If aside from strip ball, which is totally negated by sure hands or monstrous mouth, other than that, wrestle tackle is the setup you want. And this guy now has 2 heads to give him a 2+ dodge to go do that. And he's got frenzy, so you get the rebuy.
Oh yeah.
On your blitz with him. So really, you could be rolling 2 dice. If you don't like it, re-roll it. And then if you don't like that, frenzy, 2 dice. And if you have a re-roll, so you could be rolling 8 dice there.
Yeah, I could sink all of my re-rolls into this player on a really key turn if I wanted to, right?
Right.
That +1, I mean, honestly, that +1 on, because Jim, I mean, I don't know how many times you played against Jim. Always been playing elves, but he makes those screens. Yeah. He makes some really tight elf screens where you've got to make 4 or 5 up dodges to try to get a shot at the ball carrier. Now, 4 and 5 up dodges are suddenly 3 and 4 up dodges,
which seems more doable.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of guard on my team too. So there are some scenarios where I can put a guard piece on a ball carrier with frenzy, and then set this player on the ball carrier, and he's a lot less enticing to hit with a foul appearance guard piece standing right next to him. If he does get tied up, he can dodge on a 2 to go after the ball carrier. So
yeah. And it's not like he's your only tackle piece. You've got several others. So you can put multiple tackle pieces on his ball carrier.
Yeah, against Jennings, I had 2 tackle pieces on his ghoul, and he failed the first dodge and had to use a team reroll against it. And that was even getting a 2-die hit on one of the tackle pieces. Now, he didn't knock it over. Like, I got lucky on the block there. My piece was still standing, but even if he had knocked it over, the second tackle piece still would have forced the reroll.
Right.
So,
yeah, and Jim's got 4 rerolls, which is a healthy amount.
Yeah, and he's got a leader.
But if you're taxing rerolls with foul appearance and with tackle, those are not going to last long.
Right. And I mean, the Jim's team. I mean, we talked about wide versus tall teams. Jim's team is very tall. He's got like 3 or 4 pieces who have a bajillion star player points. And he's got some skills he can take before the game, but that's probably like a block or a wrestle here and there. And I know the 1 agility catcher is like high on the hit list for a lot of players.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very competent player, but I'm going into the game just assuming that my defense against Jim is like hurt enough players that he's forced to score.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think I can actually stop him from, like, I can't create screens in such a way where he wouldn't be able to score. So that 1 agility dude, yeah, I think he was just going to put the ball in against me anyway.
Yeah, it's not like the 2 agility guys are not good already, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Jim's team is quite tall, and that's the nature of a redraft team. He brought over a few players loaded with star player points. But then I think that was compounded. He and I were talking about this a week or 2 ago. He rolled that, I guess it was a 16 on that catcher. He took a stat on the catcher, planning to take movement to make a 1-turn score. And he rolls the 16, and he can choose any stat. Now, a lot of us might say he should have taken strength. But this player is not set up. He's already got like a super blitzer built.
Yeah.
So he was not going to use it for that purpose. He decided to take the agility 1+. And that, I think, has worked pretty well for him. But he has since then tried to fill the bar again so he can take another stat on this guy and get that point of movement. He's currently at 30 out of 32 points. So all those points on that player are not points that have gone to random other linemen or catchers or whatever on his team.
Right. So 30 points, you divide that by half, 15 points on 2 other players, that's a block dodge elf.
Right. Or if you take the 30 points and just, that's 6 points. If you spread that around, you could have 5 block linemen or wrestle linemen or whatever you want. I'm not saying he did it wrong, but I'm saying he is heavily invested in these few pieces.
Yeah, the same is true for my team. Like the crazy,
well, yeah,
the Crazy Teeth has a bajillion star player points, and I really felt it when it was missing out of the game against Jennings. Just having like the unstoppable force on the team feels pretty good. But I mean, anybody who's played against the Crazy Teeth will attest that it is a very stoppable force.
Well, yeah, it did some damage to me. How do you feel about the Crazy Teeth into this team?
So he's got money for Maple, and so I think I mean, the inducement I don't want to play against is Wizard because it's unpredictable. Yeah. And I could just lose the game on the spot to the Wizard, right?
Yeah, that's how it feels to play against it. I never like taking the Wizard because then I always feel like, if I roll a 1 or a 2 here, I don't get anything out of this 150K.
Right. Yeah. Whereas, like, when my opponents have Wizards, I'm like, well, they're going to get a shot at the ball.
Right.
So I would rather not play against a Wizard if I could help it. But something like Maple could tie up several members of my team, and then that might set up the offset. I mean, Jim has a fouling piece. I don't. Like, I have intentionally, not intentionally, but it wasn't until recently on the team where I had a point where I had extra players that I could potentially throw a foul with, and I mean, I intend to go into the game with several extra players, and I'll take a skillless Marauder and step on the 1 agility elf or the blitzer if they hit the ground. I like the Crazy Teeth into this matchup where if I'm getting 3 dice on players, I feel pretty good about his chances of putting somebody on the ground. And claws actually matters against high elves, against like regular line elves. So the only thing that I think like the Crazy Teeth might get into trouble against is if he runs like a Maple. And I wouldn't necessarily want the Crazy Teeth fighting Maple the whole half. Or Maple getting the Alpha Strike on the Crazy Teeth. So
yeah, but if that happened, I really still like the Crazy Teeth in that 1v1 matchup there. So you'll probably be fine. What are your plans for inducements, or is that classified?
So I think I just go in there with my team.
Okay.
I might cut a player that way, because I think right now I'm giving him almost 300k. And that would be like Maple plus. If I put him at like a weird number, like say 230, that is like Eldril money. And I do think Hypnotic Gaze on Eldril is pretty good.
It is.
But I do think that Eldril is not durable enough to withstand my team. And he would be like a piece that I could take off the pitch fairly easily.
Yeah.
So
if you have a shot at Eldril, he goes down pretty smooth. I mean,
he's got dodge, but he doesn't have block.
Right. Yeah, and he's armor 8. Yeah. So it would, if Jim did that, it would be on him to keep Eldril completely out of harm's way the whole game.
Right.
So you have a pile of money. You're into Mayor Incident territory.
I am. Yeah. It's tempting to go for like a reroll. I really don't want to give Jim like morgue money if I can help it. I'm still reeling from the game last season where I played against Coop, who took morgue with the Dark Elves, and playing against an elf team where they can Mighty Blow +2 blitz one of your pieces every turn, and then retreat that player behind a screen of elves. Now I think I rolled like ass when it came to actually knocking elves over and hurting them in that game, it's so hard to get to morgue if they're willing to screen them with elf linemen,
right?
And you don't want to like blitz the elf lineman next to morgue, because then you end up next to morgue after all is said and done,
right? Which is not where you want to be.
No.
Any thoughts of a gutter runner making an appearance?
I don't love gutter runners versus that blitzer, right? I think that blitzer feasts on gutter runners, the Mighty Blow.
Yeah, but see, that's like much like Eldril. That's on you then to keep that gutter runner screened.
Yeah, and maybe I don't think Jim would take the bait, right? Like I can't just leave Skitter like 5 spaces behind the rest of it, and try to have like the blitzer go run after him, right? I don't know. I mean, I like my ball carrier. I took 2 heads on it. And so I think my ball carrier is really hard to knock over.
Yeah, when we played, your ball carrier was number 1 on my list, even ahead of the Crazy Teeth. I really wanted that guy out of the game.
Yeah, and he got fouled out. I was like forced into putting him into a position I didn't love at the time. But I think against Jim on defense, I probably don't even put it on the field. Just because he's got a dedicated fouler, right? I don't want a scenario where he gets knocked over.
Yeah, that blitzer is bad news too. The blitzer has everything he needs to come after your ball carrier, and then the fouler can come in and finish it up.
Right.
Which to me is an argument for taking Skitter or Hackflim just to have a backup.
Right.
And we know how much you love to stab. So Skitter does have that on offer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awfully tempting to take like a Skitter or a Hackflim, but once again, I mean, I'm facing down a potential Snotling on the other side of the bracket, like 3 games from now or whatever.
Yeah, but you're sitting on Uncle Scrooge money over there, so
it takes money to make money. You know this.
Fair enough. All right. Anything else you want to say about that game?
I mean, I'm looking forward to this one. This is a good one. Jim and I have had some bangers over the years.
Oh, yeah.
So They're always good. I'm sure we'll have. If you're listening to this public service announcement, the game is not actually scheduled on Tour Play. You can't, after you schedule a game on Tour Play, you can't unschedule it.
Well, guess what? I already fixed that. So it should now properly read Thursday at 5.
Excellent. All right, there we go.
And I think we'll have to get the stream set up for this game.
Yeah,
I mean, we talked about waiting for next round, but this game would be too good. We'll have to put it on there.
For sure. So, I'm looking forward to that. I think now we could segue to the end bit here. So we are currently planning a secret league.
Yes.
For X number of weeks.
Yeah.
Where X is based off of when the next edition drops.
Right. So Games Workshop has this thing where they don't really tell you when anything is coming out until it's time to put your numbers in, which is like 2 weeks before, maybe 3 at the most. So we won't actually know when the new edition of Blood Bowl is going to drop until it's almost upon us.
Right.
This league, the playoffs will be done in maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
And then what? So, I don't know. I think everybody would rather play with the new rules than be locked into like a 12-week season with the old rules. Like,
yeah. The scenario I would just be over whatever was happening in the league. With new edition drops, brand new rules, brand new skills. You got stuff like secure the ball. You've got like
I got some chomping to do.
Yeah, right. The brand new skills, revamped, all that means to me that like I would just be over whatever was happening.
Yeah, I think that's right. So the idea here is we've got some time to kill. We want to keep everybody interested in Blood Bowl. We don't want to just be idle. Like,
right.
We like to play Blood Bowl. And we've talked about the Secret League before.
This is like the perfect opportunity, basically.
Right.
It won't. I mean, yeah, we'll always have bragging rights for this league and stuff like that. But Secret League is a time to play some really goofy, broken teams.
Right.
Right before the edition changes, and all the Secret League teams would have to be revamped anyway, based off of whatever changes potentially might be coming.
Now, some of you out there might be asking yourselves, what is the Secret League? The Secret League comes from Fumble, which I don't know if you're not familiar with that. It's the computer, like the PC client to play Blood Bowl that's existed for like 20 years.
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah, primitive pixel graphics, but it gives a very faithful adaptation of the rule set. So a lot of people like to play it more than they even like to play Blood Bowl 2 or Blood Bowl 3. But anyway, on there they have all the standard teams, but there is a secret mode with all these fan-made teams. And Tour Play has integrated those now. If you go to Tour Play and you look at teams, there are tabs you can choose. And if you go over to Secret Bowl, you can scroll through all of these.
There's some wacky ones.
There are some that are completely broken, some that are just nonsensical, silly. So why not give it a shot?
Yeah.
We'll put some models on the table and roll some dice and
see what happens.
Right,
we'll have some jump up stab skeletons.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know anybody in our league that would be interested in that. Do you?
So yeah, we'll fill some time with the Secret League. Look for news about that in the next couple week or so. Because I anticipate this taking like 6 weeks maybe. It really depends on. I mean, I don't think we will, as soon as the new edition drops, it's not going to be us swapping over immediately, right? We need like at least a little bit of time to absorb the rules changes. But the new league will be right on the heels of that pretty fast. We'll probably start sign-ups right before it drops.
I think once we have a release date, we probably then go live with the league and let people start to register, and then we start it maybe the next week after release.
Yeah.
I think everybody...
We'll probably have spoilers based off of stuff, and so I don't think there'll be any mysteries by the time the new edition hits the shelf.
Right.
But I don't anticipate us knowing for sure like all the different changes. I mean, because they've teased point rebuy, like point costs changing on a bunch of teams, stuff like that.
I'm pretty sure the article said every roster is changed in some way, whether that's just points or whatever.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams where you shave $5,000 off a player here or there, they suddenly get a lot better.
So. Right. We were talking earlier about how much difference it made raising the price of a Soros by 5.
Yeah.
Like, you raise or lower any player by 5, it can totally change the composition of the team. So, yeah, I think we'll probably... when we have a release date, we'll schedule the league, and we'll start soon after that. But in the meantime, we'll run the secret league. So we'll be posting about that in Discord with a link and how to register.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably roll that in with the entry fee for Season 10.
Okay. So there you go. Look forward to that. We've got a last little blitz of reminders here. Goblin Mayhem, the Sevens tournament run by Warren, is at the end of the month. That's going to be September 27th. I believe that's a Saturday. And then there is We Warriors, which is after that.
Yeah, October 25th is We Warriors Cup. David Beatty is running that again. We're looking forward to that. He put on a good tournament last year.
Yeah, it's a rule set for sickos and degenerates. But yeah, if you're into that type of thing, this rule set certainly appeals to you.
Yeah, we can quibble about the rule set. It's I enjoy a stunty now and then in the normal environment. Stunty in the all stunty environment is interesting, but Beatty's great. He runs a league in Greenville. He does a great job there. Shout out to him. So we're excited to have him here running this again.
Yeah. And then after that's going to be Christmas Carnage.
Right.
There's also probably some Chaos Cup thrown in there. But yeah, we've got a full slate of tournaments for the fall. Christmas Carnage might even be like one of the first ones we get to play with the new rules set.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And I guess we got to plug all the other social stuff. We've got a brand new comics podcast called Four Color Hustle.
Yeah, which is great. I've enjoyed listening to it.
We have our YouTube channel, our TikTok, our what else? What do we have? A what? A what now?
What's that?
Who?
Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah, we got
Thank you.
Instagram. A Facebook page. We do RSS feeds, surely. Smoke signals. Flare guns.
Yeah, you can check out my MySpace page.
Telegrams, all of that going out. So that'll wrap it up for the Right Stuff for this week. I hope you enjoyed the guest host this time around, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yay.
Yay! And we're out of here.